I have not been victimized myself. However, I did grow up in a very, very difficult childhood, and there was a very defining moment in my life at the age of 11 years old where I remember sitting in just a bad situation. If you could think of an 11-year-old mind and having them have such a profound thought come to them. And I thought to myself, if I ever got out of the situation I was in, I would live my life in service of others.
What's up, Sarasota? We're back with episode 117 of the Sarasota SpeaX podcast. As always, I'm Felipe Colon.
Trey Martell.
And I'm Mike Whalen, filling in for Brad Hannon.
Great. Thanks, Mike, for being here. We've got another amazing guest, Heather Hawley, Development Coordinator with More to Life Charity. Heather, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Great. And I understand you guys also have a rebrand coming up.
Yeah, so you guys are hearing it first. We are rebranding our organization after 21 years. We started off as More to Life. We are now More to Living moving forward. We went from MTL to MTL, More to Life to More to Living, which is More to Life was acceptance. More to Living is the existence and pursuit of change.
Present progressive. I like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the organization? Is it nationwide or is it localized? How does that work?
So we are a local nonprofit. We are based out of Sarasota. We serve all of Florida. We are a nonprofit that rehabilitates human sex trafficking victims, primarily youth. We also offer wraparound services. We have a restorative justice program for prior offenders to make sure that they're not reoffenders. And we do a lot of different services. We are now getting into busts with local law enforcement and national law enforcement. However, we are excited to announce that we are going to be launching our national campaign October 29th. The Gauntlet campaign, which will help serve nonprofits across the United States that are in the same sector of ours to help with gap funding and other issues that they're having as far as funding for their nonprofits.
When you mentioned the rehabilitation of victims, specifically, what does that look like? Like psychiatry?
Gosh, that's a great question. Yeah. Thank you. The rehabilitation of human sex trafficking victims, it's never linear. It's up and down, and it takes many years, and it comes in different forms. Sometimes it's straight rehabilitation where they're getting victim services, where they're getting therapy. Sometimes they need drug therapy services. Sometimes they need legal services. Sometimes it's as simple as they have been captive for so long they don't know how to do their laundry anymore, and it's as our advocates go in and help them do whatever they need to do.
So you used one key word that I think is kind of inside baseball to people who aren't involved in the charitable world, and that's wraparound services.
Yes.
You want to explain what that is and why it's so important that you don't just do kind of what's expected, you do more, because obviously something like this happens to somebody, it doesn't just impact the one part of their life, it impacts their whole life.
Exactly. And so wraparound services really, it embodies the idea is it doesn't take 6 months, it doesn't take 3 years, you don't know how long it's going to take, and you don't know exactly what each victim is going to need. And so we provide individualized services for each victim to meet their specific needs. And as of date, we have serviced over 14,000 victims.
Wow.
And how long have you been in existence serving that many people?
21 years.
That's incredible.
Yes.
How did you get involved with the organization?
It's a very interesting story, honestly, and it's something that I really became comfortable talking about as of recently. I have not been victimized myself. However, I did grow up in a very, very difficult childhood, and there was a very defining moment in my life at the age of 11 years old where I remember sitting in just a bad situation. If you could think of an 11-year-old mind and having them have such a profound thought come to them. And I thought to myself, if I ever got out of the situation I was in, I would live my life in service of others. And I've chosen to do just that. And It started with me working with a nonprofit called Designing Daughters, which I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with, and all of the work that we have done over the years. And
Designing Daughters came out of Junior League? Is that what it was?
No, we came from Designing Women.
Okay.
Yes. Junior League is a different entity, but a similar
Similar mission.
Yes.
Because I remember some of those events you had. Those are pretty fun events.
Thank you. Yeah, we like to throw a good party. So through that, we had nonprofits locally from Sarasota and Manatee County come to us and put in for grants. And one of the nonprofits that came to us 10 years ago was More to Life, which is now More to Living. So forgive me if I say More to Life. I'm still branching into consistently saying More to Living after 10 years of being with the nonprofit. And year after year, they came to us and we gave them a grant. And there was this one year, this very strong, bold, beautiful little girl. She was 14 years at the time. Her name is Felicity. And she came up and gave her impact speech. And it struck me, like it still brings tears to my eyes when I talk about it. It struck me so deeply that I thought that this is my life's mission. This is my why. And so I started off as a donor and a volunteer 10 years ago with them. And almost 2 years ago, I came on as their development coordinator.
That's awesome. Great story.
Thank you.
So how common is it when you have, like you said, you were involved in one organization and you found this organization that was great, doing good work, to give them a grant, and then you kind of fell in love with that mission and then went that way. Is that common? Is that how you guys end up finding new people to participate in the organization?
So I guess going back to Designing Daughters, part of the importance of what that organization did was to bring us to the forefront of other nonprofits in our community. And then just really pinpointing what nonprofits spoke to you so deeply. And, I volunteer for many nonprofits, but More to Living is really the one that hit me so deeply that I again felt like this was my life's mission, to really get behind them and do anything and everything in my power to help them.
And that's good advice, because I feel like when people come to it, especially when they come to a community like this and they're new and there's so much going on, people get pulled in a million different directions. But at the end of the day, the one that speaks to you is the one where you're going to have the most impact and be able to make the most difference.
And impact is everything, correct?
Definitely. I mean, that's why we do this, right? That's why I'm so glad you told us about the mission, and not just what you're trying to do, but what you're actually doing on the ground. I'm just curious, like, what is the average age of the folks that you guys serve?
So our victims that we service are typically between the ages of 12 and 18. However, we don't believe in aging out. That is kind of where some victims fall in between the cracks and end up back into being a victim again. We do, however, we're involved, as I said, in busts. We were involved in a bust not too long ago where the youngest victim was 8 months old.
A bust. Can you break that down for people that aren't familiar with the space?
We work with local law enforcement to, especially if we have a victim come to us. Case in point, we had one of our victims. You know what? Can I reframe that? I would like to call my victim a survivor. And one of our survivors came to us and she said, I have this information. I know what's going on. And she took us to a ring in Jacksonville and helped bust a huge ring. And one of the youngest victims was 8 months old. And sometimes it's not necessarily a kid being stolen from a grocery cart at a store. Sometimes it's them being sold or trafficked online through online pornography.
Now, so I assume that a lot of these survivors, they're immigrants. Is that correct? Do you have a lot of immigrants?
Again, that's, I guess, part of what we really need to do is we need to educate people a lot more on what trafficking is, because it has taken such a different shape in today's day and age. As I said, it's not necessarily kids being taken from a grocery cart or, being sold that way. A lot of times it is your children. And this is where I really advise parents to take classes and get educated and get AI technology on their phones, such as iDefend, because now it is vulnerable kids that look just like our children.
So is it often like family members and stuff like that?
It's very often. Yeah. So let me go back to one avenue of trafficking is a little girl, 13 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes. She feels out of place at school, right? So she goes online to find a friend. And now you have a predator on the other end of that computer. And he now has AI technology that can cast a net to 1,000 kids. And it narrows it down, and it narrows it down, and it narrows down to the 10 most vulnerable children that look just like your kids that live in suburbs and that are at home at night. And then he starts talking to them. And then he starts getting them to send photos. And then that photo is sold over and over and over again. So that's one avenue. And now we also deal with the foster care system, which is a huge issue. And there are kids that go into the foster care system and then they run away, or they're not properly taken care of, or they don't have, the foster care services don't have the needs that they need met. And then we have a runaway child. And within 72 hours of a child running away from the foster care system, we now have a Romeo trying to pick them up on the street, promising them safety, promising them a house to live in. And then he convinces them that he loves them, but he only loves them if they do X, Y, and Z for him. And now they're being sold repeatedly on the street. And then you have another avenue, which is probably one of the most heartbreaking to me, and that I do see a lot. It is family members.
Wow.
Selling their children or victimizing their children on their own. Most predators become predators because they were first victims. And most victims, unfortunately, are men. And men are the biggest issue in it, and men are going to be the biggest solution to it. So that's where we really need to think, is it's an inside job. It starts from the inside, and that's where you really have to, break the ceiling and change and reform and provide these services and this therapy to make sure that this changes.
Right. So it's not just a matter of there are bad people out there and we need to catch the bad guys. That's not addressing the problem.
Right.
Because there's new bad guys being created.
Correct.
Every day.
Correct.
Right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike.
So you had mentioned AI technology, like you said, a program called iDefend. So how are those things helping?
So iDefend is, I personally use this platform for my children. They are based out of Utah, and it's something that you can put your child's information on. It does a scan every single month to see if your child's had photos on the dark web, to even see if their identity has been sold, to see who is trying to reach out to them. It really protects your children. And then there's a lot of AI technology that's coming out that is going to help law enforcement to make sure that they are, imagine being in law enforcement and sitting behind a computer and pretending that you're a child all day, every day, and that causes some real mental havoc on you. And so now we're coming out with technology. Dr. Bello, my founder, my fearless leader, she has 2 patents out right now, and we are doing some really, really groundbreaking work. But we're in progress. So that's where we're at with that.
The AI thing is interesting. I hadn't really thought of that. But the dark web is scary and
terrifying.
Anything that we don't understand is also even scarier, right? Because there's that unknown, and if we can offload some of that onto technology, I mean, that's just a win. I would think it's also kind of tough for law enforcement because, like I mentioned before about catching the bad guys, they're used to doing things the traditional way. And the world is not the same world anymore.
It's ever evolving.
Right. So are there any trends or statistics on how much this type of trafficking has increased over the years because maybe of some of that technology and the dark web and all that?
I wish I could provide actual statistics for you, but it is constantly changing. It's very, very hard to completely pinpoint. And each state varies everywhere. I will tell you it is getting worse and it's not getting better. Right now we are fighting a losing battle, and that is part of the main reasons of why we have decided to launch this national campaign, to not just be the ambulance at the bottom of the hill waiting for somebody to fall down, but to really get in front of the problem and help all nonprofits within our sector, be it preventative, educational, AI technology, rehabilitative, search and rescue, foster care system. We really want to get in front and help and be the people that not only help ourselves, but help everyone across the United States.
Right. You mentioned the foster care system. It seems like this is the kind of problem where it also affects people, for lack of a better term, at the fringes of society.
Correct.
That oftentimes, if we don't know them, we don't care. Or that sounds harsh, but I'm being harsh for a reason, to make the point.
It is honestly true. And it's difficult for me when I talk about my career with people, because I always say I have the best, worst job. My career makes people uncomfortable because they don't want to admit that it exists.
Right. It's not exactly good party fodder.
It's really not. Yeah. It's not. I know how to shut a party down really quickly with conversation. So, yeah.
Okay, so you guys are making headway both on the tech front and obviously in the person to person and with the wraparound services. How have you been able to take this national? Where did the organization start, and what have been kind of the ways you've grown and marketed this mission? Let
me speak on Dr. Bello first. We have a motto at More to Living. It's victim to survivor, survivor to thriver, thriver to champion. However, Dr. Bello, our CEO, our founder, she is a warrior. She was a victim herself. She was a Hollywood actress as a child, and she was victimized, and she got out of it. And it was a very, very daunting task for her to not only become a survivor, but to become a doctor and become a world leader on this topic, and then to build this foundation from the ground up to put other victims first. So much as to, the victim Felicity that I was talking to you about, survivor Felicity that I was speaking to you on about, the one that really spoke to my heart and changed how I felt. This speaks to exactly who Dr. Bello is when she found Felicity was taken by the cartel and was almost taken across state borders to Mexico. They stopped at a gas station. She jumped out of her car, went and yanked Felicity out of the vehicle and saved her. So if that's not a warrior, I don't know what a warrior is, right? And so when you hear her speak and you see the way she is with people, she means it from the heart. There is no ulterior motive. And so that in itself is marketing. When you see somebody that lives their word and their values so deeply and authentically, you follow her through the depths of hell, through anything, and you put your horse behind her.
Yeah, that's living the brand, and living the brand for good reason. So
what it ended up becoming is we were so successful in these 21 years. We have a 100% rate in our restorative justice program with over 5,000 men. We have...
Well, what is that program?
The Restorative Justice Program is a program that takes predators to make sure that they are not reoffenders and gives them services.
I'm glad you addressed that, because I was going to ask if you guys did anything on both sides.
We do. And it's, and it's a very hard pill for a lot of people to swallow and understand
that you're actually helping the people that cause the problem.
But, the idea is if we don't help the people that are causing the problem, guess what they're going to do? Mm-hmm. They're going to cause the problem again. So we have such background in our services and such a success rate that other leaders have turned to us and said, we want to learn how you guys are doing this. And so she started building this program, this national campaign. And we brought in Attorney General Sean Reyes, former Attorney General Sean Reyes out of Utah, who is probably one of the most brilliant human beings I've ever met. I am always just completely fascinated by the knowledge he has and his desire to also create change. And the two of them, along with Missy Larson and our team, have really teamed up to create this national campaign. Again, it kicks off October 29th at our gala, and that will create this fund that is going to bring in monies to put into other grants that will go out nationally. And part of that will be awareness. But the most important part about this campaign is we are working with 7 other nonprofits from across the United States for accountability, for follow-up, to make sure that all of the funds are being allocated in the correct way and the best way possible. So it's not just on one organization. So it's an open book, it's full transparency. And so when you have things like that and these things set into place, how could you not get behind that? That is marketing in itself. It drives the people that want to create change and do good for our community and our world to get behind that.
We're having a great and informative time getting to know Heather Hawley, Development Coordinator with More to Living. If you'd like to get to know her a bit better, stay tuned for rapid fire questions.
Fueled by Food and Beer.
Hi, I am Heather Hawley, and I am the development coordinator for More to Living, and this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions, 10 specific answers, nothing off limit. This is Rapid Fire, fueled by Food and Beer. What is your spirit animal?
Raccoon.
If animals could talk, which would be the rudest?
Raccoon.
Yo, what's your problem?
What's your biggest fear?
Cotton balls. I have had this deep fear of cotton balls since I was a child. I can't even talk about it. The feeling, the texture.
Very interesting.
I actually missed a final in college because my roommate stuffed all of my shoes with cotton balls, and so I didn't go.
What's your favorite place to visit?
Ooh, Costa Rica.
Make your own moments in Costa Rica.
Would you rather always have to whisper or always have to shout?
Whisper.
What's that?
Excuse me?
Whether it's Creed or Debbie Gibson, what's your favorite karaoke song?
Hey, baby, I want to know.
You ever been in a fight before? And did you win?
I don't lose it much.
Put 'em up, put 'em up! Which one are you afraid?
Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. One of them's got to go. Which one is it?
X. I still have to talk to my mama on Facebook.
Do you think we really landed on the moon?
Ooh. No.
All right, we're talking about some crazy moon landing conspiracies.
Are they real? Are they not?
What's your Mount Rushmore of musicians? You get 4.
Fat Swaller. Tom Petty. Mariah Carey. What else do I want? John Mellencamp.
So talk to us about this Attorney General Alliance that I've been informed about in my fantastic notes here. Thank you, Edub.
So the Attorney General Alliance will be coming here for a summit October 27th through the 29th for 3 days of education on trafficking and what they can be doing within their states. And there will be several breakout meetings for them. It's unfortunately not open to the public, but we are proud to be having them here, and Dr. Bello will be one of the keynote speakers along with Tim Tebow. And at the final night of it, October 29th, the Flight to Freedom Gala will be taking place. So I want to get this right for legal purposes. We are not directly tied to the AGA. However, we do anticipate several people from the AGA to be at our gala the final evening for the wrap-up that is hosted by Sean Reyes and Dr. Bello and chaired by Jennifer Mateo and myself.
Okay. Well, how did you guys get that in Sarasota? I mean, is it just because was that all you're doing, or how?
No, I wish it was. I don't get that much credit. Honestly, Dr. Bello is just such a powerhouse and a force. I mean, she did the National Prayer Breakfast. Sean Reyes is the former Attorney General. He just retired in December. He really was behind a lot of this. It just happened to go perfectly with the subject matter and with what we're trying to do with our national campaign, that we were able to essentially piggyback off of their summit.
What kind of attendance do you expect? Is it going to be like a ton of attorney generals from all over the country?
I can't give exact numbers.
Okay.
What I would say is I would anticipate several, if not most of them. And then I can't, again,
I mean, that's a big deal though, because how often do we get that type of event in
it's, you
Sarasota?
know what, I think the part that I'm most proud of is that the Attorney General Alliance is really focused on creating solutions and educating their attorney generals to the real problem that is happening in front of our faces in every single state, which is human trafficking, and to really solve for the problem and learn different ways and avenues in which they can do that.
That makes a lot of sense because, you know, obviously, as you described before, this is not just a societal problem and a psychological problem, but it's also a law enforcement problem. So we need to meld all those things together to kind of pull that out by the root.
100%. And More to Living does also do training for police forces and stuff. And one of the largest trafficking events are, you know, the Olympics and sporting events and large concerts, and making sure our law enforcement and other people are very aware of what happens at these large sporting events. You think about it. You have the Olympics. You have people coming in from all over the world.
We have the Olympics coming up here in the U.S. soon.
Yes. Yeah. And you have people coming in from all over the world. You have private jets coming in. You have Uber drivers. You have hotels. These are all ways to have people trafficked. And it is really, really unfortunate that these exciting and happy events are just really turned into such tragedy for a lot of people.
Well, that makes sense because where there's crowds, there's the ability to blend in.
100%.
You know, the bad guys who have bad intentions.
You are absolutely correct.
That is scary to think about, especially we have a lot of folks with kids who watch this, and it's a good thing to have heightened awareness during those events.
Say something is really there's something to that.
Very smart. Now, you'd mentioned a little bit about the busts, but I think Trey was talking during the break about.
Yeah. Do you have a specific bust that stands out in your recent memory that, you know, you're proud of?
So we were just involved with Operation Dragon Eye with the U.S. Marshal. We helped recover 60 critically missing children over Pinellas County, Pasco County, Hillsborough County, and we really provided a crucial role in providing intel, providing victim services after they were recovered, and I believe it was 8 suspects were apprehended out of the 60 critically missing children.
What was this ring's strategy for bringing the victims into the ring? You mentioned a few different scenarios earlier in the conversation,
but just based on your experience.
That is honestly information that I have not readily able to give you guys. It's not stuff that has been provided to me as of yet. It's a lot of stuff is still under investigation. As I said, it's 8 suspects. They have to go through due process. So I'm not allowed to provide that information.
No, that makes sense. I mean, we have laws in the country.
Yeah.
Even the bad guys deserve the justice, right?
Right,
so,
correct.
Okay. Other things about the awards, you're going to be presenting some awards at that gala as well?
Yes, we are so excited to be providing Tim Tebow, Karen White, the executive director for the AGA, Paul Allen from WSP here in Sarasota, and Phil Williams from Droplight in Indianapolis, Indiana, awards for the work that they do, not only for More to Life, but for other nonprofits and the work that they do in our community and the communities around us.
How did you get Tim Tebow involved? Is there a particular story about that?
Again, Dr. Bello, she is a mover and a shaker. More to Living actually does work with the Tim Tebow Foundation, and they've gotten to know each other, and having him come and speak, I mean, what an honor. And to be able to provide him with such an award, and so deserving at that, it's just, we're very blessed and very thankful for that. And then Karen White, again, somebody that has been a champion for what we do. She is so deserving. And Paul Allen, I don't know if you guys know who he is here in our community.
I met him at the golf tournament.
Yes.
We did a little brief interview spot. Very nice guy.
Yeah, Paul Allen is one of our largest supporters over and over again. I mean, as of all of you are, both Strong Roofing, you, and Food and Beer also supports us.
Generally partners.
Hey, take it easy.
Now, the golf event, that was for More to Living?
Yes.
Yes.
I remember that because the swag was great. I got a great T-shirt, which I actually do wear.
Good.
Did you golf?
I didn't. I
did the live
stayed
podcast.
By the hospitality stand, and we did kind of like a live.
Yeah,
did Brad golf?
I think he might have.
I golfed.
You golfed?
Mike golf.
I golf.
If that's what
How'd you do? Are you any good? Better than Felipe?
So
Hard to say.
Paul Allen he's such a community leader, and he just really, he stands for everything that we admire and want to recognize for the work that he does, not only for us, but for others. And Phil Williams, who I'm so excited for all of you to get to meet, he is from an organization that he founded called Droplight. And again, they're out of Indianapolis, Indiana. And to have such a powerhouse of a company really back us and over again and support what we do, and to have them down here to be here and to just really receive and take pleasure in getting an award, because again, he is somebody that is so deserving and just such a phenomenal.
I'm kind of curious. You mentioned something that struck a chord with me. You know, the work you're doing makes perfect sense.
Correct.
You're heading off the problem both at the source and also on the aftermath with the survivors. Who else is doing this, and why aren't more people approaching the problem like that? Why aren't more organizations doing it? And if so, are there ones that come to mind or people you partner with?
So unfortunately, what has happened, especially in today's climate, is there have been certain organizations that have put a really bad taste in donors' mouths, and they pull back their donor dollars. And so now you have, and that's why we have our accountability board.
Is some of that politicized? Is that what you think it might be?
You know, I wish I could speak on that, but I try not to speculate on things like that too much.
Well, that's what I do. That's why.
Yeah, I hate to continuously be politically correct with you, but I think that's just.
No, I mean, listen, if you're raising money for a nonprofit, I mean,
correct.
Everybody's money is green.
Yes.
So you need to keep
What's your theory on it?
I don't know. My theory, I mean, I have lots of theories. You know, the issue that you mentioned earlier with the cartel, I don't even want to say that on the internet. That's how scary these people are. You know what I mean? But I wonder if that's a very common thing, because I know they make money doing that.
Again, to go back to your question of why aren't other nonprofits doing this? Because other nonprofits are, pulling themselves by their baby hairs just to make sure that they have payroll paid right now. Mm-hmm. They don't have the opportunity to look at the larger picture and to solve for the bigger problem. Right now, you have nonprofits that are having gap funding issues. They have donors leaving. They have government grant issues. Funding's getting cut. And now they are just trying to keep their head above water. So how are they able to build a program while they're, again, barely surviving themselves? Now you have nonprofits basically competing against each other to have those donor dollars to make sure that they survive. When we have the idea of, if we have room in our heart, we have room at our table. If we have a space to help ourselves, we have space to help everybody. So why not bring us all into the fold and create a fund that can help everybody? Bring our power all together. And that really is why we brought in these 7 other nonprofits, because they have the same idealism and the morals and values and really want to push to help everybody else to create change. And it's going to take a few nonprofits that are able to do that to come together before we can start bringing in all the nonprofits. And then everybody, it starts with somebody. And it just butterfly effects.
And I like that you guys are doing that, because I feel like some nonprofits get too mired in their own bureaucracies.
Correct.
And aren't always trying to play nice with others. And the real change comes when we all play nice together.
Exactly.
And we're all rowing in the same direction, to use a million analogies.
I love the way you put that. So
but,
collaborate to dominate.
There you go.
Figure out that one.
That's I'm glad we're talking about that, because I want to also talk about the money. I mean, obviously you're a development director.
Yes.
You want to tell the folks who may not be familiar with that term what that means, what your day-to-day is like, and actually what you do for this particular organization.
So my personal job role is to speak to people like you and, get out and really pull in funding and find donors and build relationships and work with people to make sure that gap is filled. And right now, my organization alone, we are in a $300,000 gap fund that we are needing to fill by end of year. And so it's
break down what that means. So you need that $300,000 in extra funding to provide services for all the people who are on your list, or
we are currently waitlisted.
Okay.
Because we don't have enough survivor mentors, because we don't have enough funding. So if we have that $300,000 gap filled, we are now able to have payroll. We're able to bring on more mentors. We have a cushion. We are then able to provide more services for more victims.
Right, and the need has not changed.
It's never
the funding
changed.
will always change, right? And that's why you're busy.
Right. Yes.
But the need hasn't changed.
Never.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So to transition to more about you, how did you end up in this role in particular? I mean, I know you talked about your personal story.
Take it back a little bit further. How did you end up in Sarasota? And how long
that's a good one too.
Oh boy. I was living in Wisconsin. I'm actually from Indiana, but I was living in Wisconsin. It was really cold. It was February. My ex-husband and I had a baby. It was 2009, and we said, let's get out of here. And we sold our drum shop, music store, and
a drum shop. Didn't see that coming. Didn't have that on the bingo card.
You know what?
Can you play the drums?
I cannot carry a tune. I cannot play an instrument. What is gobsmacking to me is that I have the most musically inclined children, and they ask me to stop singing in a car. So no, absolutely not. And we moved down to sunny Florida, and I've been here ever since.
Sarasota in particular, or elsewhere?
I lived in Cape Coral for a few months, but my roots really were here in Sarasota. I grew up coming here as a child. My grandfather, who is a corn farmer up in northern Indiana, he had one of those 55 and older communities that we used to come down here during summer, spring break. And so I knew that I liked this area. And we ended up here very quickly thereafter.
That's a super common way people get down here. They come as kids.
Right.
My grandparents had a place.
Yeah. Oh, did your grandparents have a place?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. But yeah.
But that's a common thing people say. Yeah.
Super common. And then, the weather, obviously we hear that a lot too. So usually we like to ask more about how, you relate to Sarasota, but I think Trey's got a particular question.
I got a banger.
Oh,
all right,
gosh.
Combinator Law and Trey Martell want to know, what are your feelings on roundabouts? Do you love them?
Gosh.
Do you hate them? Can you operate them well?
So
well, you saw this one coming, so I can't wait to hear what you say.
Let me preface this with, I said that I'm from Indiana. My parents live in Carmel, Indiana, and they are actually known internationally for their roundabout system. They are one of the first towns that really built this type of community, and you've seen these pop up. Sarasota is similar, not quite as large scale. I think that they work well if people know how to use them correctly. Unfortunately, in Sarasota, that is not quite the case.
Do they run smoother in Indiana,
much,
in your opinion?
Yes, much. But they also don't have a roundabout like they have on Siesta Key. So that's not even a roundabout. I don't know what that is.
You mean the new one on Siesta when you're driving?
Is that
along?
Hegel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They call it a roundabout. What is that?
It's like a parallelogram.
It's like, I just I
don't think it's a roundabout if you can't go around. That's more of like a
you're supposed to round.
I think it's half square, half round.
That's bizarre.
Mind-boggling. I blame Eric Arroyo for this one, so.
It's always easy to blame the elected officials.
Right?
Yeah, every problem we have.
He's an expert on roundabouts. He's the first one we asked, and he had all kinds of stats on why they're great.
That was informative. I mean, he said he talked to a guy that had a PhD in roundabouts. I mean, didn't know that existed.
I think that's tongue in cheek.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sure. You get a PhD in a lot of things these days, the way our system works. But okay, but the real reason we ask about roundabouts is it's to understand better growth and change in Sarasota without having to ask people if they're pro or anti-growth, because that, raises some hackles around here when you talk about growth. Particularly, the old internet trolling about Sarasota's full, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm pro-growth. I really am. I like to see changes. I like seeing evolution. I mean, look at my nonprofit. We are evolving daily, and we're doing a rebrand because you have to change, you have to grow. So that's the way that the community is going to go. Do I think that some of the communities could have been built better? 100%. But with growth comes learning, and learning only comes from making mistakes.
I agree, and not to sound a certain way, but I think a lot of our guests we have on this podcast are all about growing and building something. And when you're, like Mike was one of our early guests, he's going to business, food and beer. A lot of the nonprofits that we have on, like yourself, are all looking to grow and do more with what they have. Almost anybody who's building something wants to see growth.
More people, more donations.
Right.
More people, more Smash burgers.
More chicken wings.
More people, roofs. More roofs.
More investable assets.
What do more people do for you, Felipe?
Investable assets, man.
All right, there we go.
You know, there's so many people who do what I do around here or claim to do what I do that, you know, there's enough to go around.
Right.
So, you know, it's really not
How do you do it better? How do you do it better than those other people?
We're not going to get into that. You know?
Oh, so you get to ask me the hard-hitting questions, but role reverse, not so much. Huh?
No, I'm pretty information light. You know, I'm like the Wizard of Oz. That's kind of my business.
Is that how
mysterious?
Yeah.
Wow.
It works. But in any case, you know, people who usually have the negative comments about growth and change here, they're not interested in, maybe they're at the end of their career or maybe they're retired and they just want what they came down here for. I mean, do you really think Sarasota's changed that much? I mean, Siesta Key Beach is still pretty nice. All right. Let's hear it.
It's changed, but I think for the good. I mean, when I moved here in '93. It was almost like it was a secret, right? You know, University Parkway was like a dirt road.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
So
and you've been coming down here that long, so you've obviously seen it.
I've been coming down since '98, I believe, and it doesn't even look the same, but I think that it's changed for the better. Truly, at the end of the day, I love. The roads could be a little less congested, which that problem will solve eventually. At growth comes growing pains. So here we are.
Yeah, more roundabouts.
Golly.
Easy answer.
You've got more things to go, more things to do, and more places to go. You don't have to go as far.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what comes with growth.
And then if we didn't change, if we didn't evolve, what happens when the generation that is, you know, aging out in God's waiting room?
R.I.P.
Hey, listen, we're all getting there slowly, one way or another.
Happen.
So
you're not going to get out of it.
Why should we not talk about it?
But if we don't grow, what happens when that generation dies? We are not going to have people that are going to stay here. That is how towns die. Heck, I'm from a town called Hamlet, Indiana. There's 427 people there. I'm related to 427 people there, and the town is dying because it.
Was your husband from there too?
Which one? No, neither.
Drum store. Well, I'm assuming he owned it with you, right?
Well, he actually was he was the owner. Yeah.
Okay, so from Indiana. Any other thoughts about Sarasota and how it relates to your nonprofit and the work that you're doing in particular?
You know, all I can encourage is, you know, time, talent, or treasure. When it comes to my nonprofit, if you have your time, give your time. If you have a talent, give your talent. If you have a treasure, give your treasure. I really want to see, I know our community shows up for our nonprofits. So I really, really hope that people show up and really show our country who Sarasota is and how philanthropic we are and how we support our nonprofits. And I really hope to see everybody there on
Well, on the gala, sell it to them. What can they expect? What will the night look like?
Oh my goodness. We have so many. Jennifer, she has just, my co-chair, she has this amazing vision, and it's at the Flight Training Center. We have a Catch Me If You Can theme. So it's complete Pan Am. You walk in, you're going to see a conveyor belt. You're going to have stewardess and flight attendants and people coming in. You're going to have your ticket checked, and it's going to be a night to remember. We have, some amazing live auction items, some trips. We have Ois Gracie coming. We have Tim Tebow. Ois is going to be, giving away some stuff. He is a huge supporter of us. We have a fantastic band. It's going to be a night to remember. And it's not only going to be educational, it's going to be uplifting, but it's going to be fun.
If you can make that topic that fun, that sounds like you guys are doing something really special, and it really sounds first class.
Thank you.
Really, thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
And for doing it right here in our own backyard, where we are very philanthropic, right?
We really are, yes.
So, okay.
I pride our community on that. I think that we are one of the most philanthropic communities in the United States, and I think it shows for itself.
And more people coming means more philanthropy, right?
100%.
Okay. Want to plug any of your socials or tell people where they can find the organization?
Yeah. So right now we are currently at more2life.org. We are now moving over to more2living.org. You can find us at More2Life on Instagram, which will eventually, anything I say More to Life, just go ahead and turn it into More to Living. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook, and that's where you can find us.
Very good. Well, we'll have to check those out, and we'll also check out that gala coming up.
Please,
it sounds like a fun night. Okay.
Oh, before we leave, I have a gift for you guys.
Oh.
So I, under a series of unfortunate circumstances, I have had a surplus of bananas and applesauce in my house. So I made you guys banana bread last night.
Wow.
Now,
looks great.
Let's not judge me on my saran wrapping. I can bake bread. I apparently cannot saran wrap, and it is never knew it was such a triggering thing in my life. I have aspirations to solve world problems, but cannot conquer saran wrap. So there it is.
I mean,
you can't have it all.
The proof's in the banana bread. Heather, thanks so much for what you're doing, for being here, and that's going to do it for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.